Hello, everyone. I am Dima Starodubtsev, Master Saib. And today I want to give a kind of emotional talk. The reason I changed the topic is that today is very important a day in the history of Siberia. It's all started, we launched the blockchain with collective intelligence 4 years ago, and a lot of have happened since then. And yeah, I want to reflect a bit on what has been done, what was mistakes, and what are the path forward. I think it's this talk is less for people on the edge, because people are not familiar with the project, but it's more for the community we built during. Guys, can I ask you to move? Okay. Thank you. The community we built in the internet, and actually, I want to thank you, Shaka. It's very convenient here at Edge City to actually work with video. You have this beautiful operator who actually do very complicated work of making this translation. Thank you so much. So basically, this infrastructure in Edge City is the reason I decided to give this talk here. Okay, I will start. I will start from the history, some reflections. So it's all started in 2016, 9 years ago. I published a paper, Cyberchain. It was the idea of decentralized knowledge graph. It wasn't a lot of interest in there, except this idea of that we can write links, content addressed links into the blockchain. In August 2017, based on this idea, we published first version of SIPE. SIPE was kind of like decentralized browser based on IPFS and blockchain-based search engine. It was really cool, and we decided to start build on top of this idea. And in 2018, we launched Alien Network. It was first GPU-based testnet based on Cosmos SDK. We chose this stack because it was practically the only stack to this back then, which allowed us to plug in CUDA code. So the ranking of this knowledge graph can be computed using on GPUs. And we plugged in this PageRank algorithm. It turns out it start working consensus. Guys was wondered why it working actually, the numbers converge, the app hash is the same. It was just several years after that I discovered why it did works. It shouldn't actually. So anyway, in June 2010, it was I believe this time when I dive into bostrom works, and yeah, I was impressed by his simulation argument expressed as trilemma. I don't think I will stop here, because I think in the cyber community, almost everyone are familiar with this idea that we are probably living in simulation, But further on, I goes deeper into his work and discovered his book on superintelligence. It was called The Path to Superintelligence, Dangers and Opportunities. And Nick, he outlined 3 basic paths for going there. And one was computer in a box. It's kind of the path all corporations currently are focused on. The second One is kind of genetically engineering, like taking best brain and genetically engineer it to like become like more powerful, bigger, have more feature, more bandwidth, more connectivity. And the third path was collective intelligence. And actually, like it was the time, like the moment I realized that, well, we are building this collective intelligence thing, and these keywords, they are help me to make this decision to, incept the idea of superintelligence. He clearly defined what is superintelligence. It's computer that is smarter than all humans combined. Simple. And he also, was into this idea of singleton, which is kind of natural final on how this superintelligence can develop. It's the idea that actually if superintelligence will appear, it will dominate and become like the single thing that actually suck in all other kind of intelligence within, at least on a planetary scale. Okay, like if you go to other planets, it's kind of light speed of light limit, but in case of the one planet, it's kind of natural end game for superintelligence to become the singleton. Okay. And with this idea, we decided to launch the bostrom network as a bootloader for this superintelligence thing. And it was the episode 1 of this movie. We have a tradition to watch this thing, and I will, if it will renders shortly, I think I will remember you from what it's all started. But basically, yes, we launched the blockchain on the during Cosmoverse. It was the first Cosmoverse Cosmos-based conference. We launched this bostrom network in real time, which was fascinating. It was, like the scale and complexity of coordination, I believe, like looks like a rocket launch, because at least like 100 people was involved in the operation of launching the blockchain right during the conference talk during this first Cosmoverse. Okay, while it's rendering, I believe the internet here connection is kind of limited. I will continue. If it renders, we will look, okay? So, the rest of the history can be reflected in this chart. It started from something like 500 million dollars capitalization, and started to fall very rapidly and find equilibria on something like $5 million market cap level in like several years, which I believe is nice for the project which don't have like serious traction. It's kind of fine. Like we grew the team, we grew the community. The blockchain was, it was the moment when the amount of links started to accumulate, and we felt this growth, and there was just coincidence when during fifth upgrade of the network, explosion like emerged. So like it was a bug in the system that was responsible for minting energy tokens and short energy tokens. Like for those who don't familiar with concepts behind this blockchain, is like the tokens that allow you to actually submit and train this knowledge graph. Okay. So like it was over minted, like it was liquidity was drained, like and the like we was able to to stop like basic operations, to stop internal DEX operations, to like minimize damage. But yeah, the capitalization like drained from 5 million to something like $300,000 actually evaporated. Yeah, so it was like, I believe it was like kind of the comfort level when we were able still to develop and finance this project using the blockchain itself. It was actually done almost all the way. But after that, it became apparent that it's not possible to work the same way on the project anymore. And yeah, another like part of the story is that just recently, in like half year ago, in the December of 2024, I discovered this collective focus theorem I shared yesterday, and it became obvious to me why it was like so many intuition behind the design of this blockchain. Why actually like several people, like really smart people within the community, consistently work through this project like for years. And yeah, it turns out that it like this intuition of like embedding like simple page rank, token weighted page rank does have a lot of sense in terms of collective learning. Yeah, but up to this point, like, so this formal proof, when this formal proof emerged, like the project was basically destroyed by this burst and it doesn't render. Okay. Doesn't matter. So current state, that's actually what I want to emphasize, that current states of the project is kind of tricky because after these like we fixed recently we was able to fix the like most problematics with 6th and 7th upgrade of the network, but a lot of client-side infrastructure actually stopped working effectively, like, and the some part of the backend don't working. So the system, like the blockchain is working fine right now. Yeah. So it's this is a good news, but the client side and infrastructure which index the stuff are like partially working. So for example, currently you cannot link from the browser, you cannot do some basic operations, sometimes the content is not loading, some apps are crashing, and so on. So basically we have fixed the most problematics on the blockchain side, but failed to actually, because the team is actually not existent, it's only several, like 2-3 community members who actually decide to help like with the project just because like we think that it's very important without financing this stuff and so on. So yeah, and also we have this Space Pussy blockchain we also launched during hackathon in Medellin, Colombia, which independent knowledge graph targeted for girls, and for the all that experiments with content, we have the idea of like more cheap knowledge graph, which is used for more like experimental purpose, like it's kind of like canary network, yeah, more like we started with the idea, but currently we came to a conclusion that actually can be like set up very differently. And also interesting stuff that the client code of Space Pussy and Bostrom, they are kind of like become very different, because Space Pussy was just community led and they like cut some stuff. So yeah, it's kind of two divergent project right now. Yeah, but both are kind of work. Okay. Also, Yeah, I mentioned that a lot of client side code doesn't work. Also, channels, IBC channels with Atom and Pussy not work. Okay, we recently recovered the channel to Osmosis, which allow to trade boot tokens. Like boot is the basic currency of this network. Boot from bootloader, and yeah, you can basically track it on the CoinGecko. Yeah, here they are. We have a lot of cool stuff actually done. I want to show you some demos. For example, we really like it was one of our last development. We take Cosmosm and implemented BitTensor as a smart contract. So like actually we have this in Space Pussy network, for example, we have deployed with this experimental thing. So actually we have a tooling for rewarding this like learning based on BitTensor UMA consensus. Yeah, I think it's one of the like given that the capitalization of BitTensor, guys, raise the hand. Who of you know what BitTensor is? No one. Some kind of heard, yeah. I think it's a leading DAI project currently in the field. The like current cap is something like $4 billion. It was appeared just like 2 years ago. It's I don't think that it is like it's more like crypto tokenomics network which incentivize distributed learning. It doesn't hold the network itself, doesn't hold the state on chain. It doesn't have like what it does have is this pretty heavy reward computation, which allow for this network to distributedly train local models, which they are not kind of like all not actually disclosing the models itself. So like the network reasons just by answering for like for each other. Okay, and I think BitTensor is just worth to note is just currently the kind of rail of decentralized AI. I will have a talk on decentralized AI in, I believe, 9th of November here in Edge City. I did a lot of research in this field for in recent years. I want to share some of this knowledge, like these projects, the software, some methods, some cryptographic primitives, incentive systems, and so on. So it's kind of emerging field we are talking about. So. Yeah, and like we have this network implemented as a smart contract. So basically, you can incentivize this on-chain graph using this beautiful incentive scheme. But actually, we wasn't able to deploy it into production. Actually, demo. Yeah, it's a browser. Sype is, I believe, first pure. You can see this is a domain, Sype AI. I believe it's a first pure decentralized browser in the world. And why? I try to find out the solution, how to bypass all the, like actually the scheme that happens in the legacy internet. So it's all like started from Google. Now it's more like the model level, but it was like when we started develop it, it was like Google, then IP addresses, when first DNS lookup, when IP addresses, when you get files. So first steps. In my case, like the query goes to in my case, the query goes directly to the blockchain. It returns, so like the when query goes, it's convert to the hash. Yeah, it's like IPFS address. This blockchain gives all associations. This hash which was actually written to this knowledge graph. Okay, and like the most cool thing, but it's sorted by this rank. Yeah, so it's not just like the random set of the links. It's like the most relevant links. So basically, I re-implemented what Google have been done in 98 with his, but in a distributed fashion. And the beauty is that actually, yes, when this browser here in the right in the front end, we compile this like actually several ways to deal with IPFS node. It's like Helia node JS version. It's embedded, it's the old one JS version, JS IPFS, and external, it's like you can use Go IPFS for calling to the, like actually locally running full-blown node, okay? I don't believe that it's work consistently like all of its options. Yeah, it's also kind of like problem, but the result is actually that when you have these results from the blockchain, they are directly loaded from the torrent network, like which is IPFS, right from the browser, and like that is how the system can bypass and become like really censorship resistant version of the internet, because like the results came from a blockchain in a dense format when these hashes is being used to load the content. For example, here is the picture. You see sometimes it's just like I'm not like due to some reason it's not loading because it seems that backend here we have cybernode.io IAI site which actually hosts some backend and IPFS cluster. IPFS cluster is just a thing that supports to serve queries faster. Yeah, but so you have a lot of weird bugs which doesn't allow to render content. So that's actually why I'm saying that it seems that it's working, but in practice it's not usable right now. A lot of due to a lot of reasons, a lot of bugs just disrupt the flow of this beautiful thing, I believe. So yeah, and I want to notice like the size. So let's go on like and show some simple features which are built on top of this knowledge graph. What this knowledge graph is about? Yeah, so it's a bit more than 3 million files. Yeah, linked by 3 million links. So the ratio between particle and links 1-to-1, which I believe is suboptimal, and like we need some kind of mechanism to increase connectivity. And according to collective focus theorem, it's kind of the thing that when you have this 1-to-6 ratio, like this collective intelligence must start emerge. It's kind of prediction of collective focus theorem. That we need in this network a way to find a way for more graph connectivity to like this knowledge become actually useful for the collective who is using it. Yeah, I think it's very important problem when like we compute Nij entropy. Nij entropy is super cool idea. It's like opposite of entropy. It's like the force that actually resist entropy. Yeah, and we compute it also and should demonstrate as kind of the metrics which demonstrate the like intelligence power of the system. Okay, and you can see clearly that the system use 238 megabytes of GPU green memory. And that is the most cool thing about bostrom. So of the whole chain, like this is the only blockchain in existence which have extremely dynamic state. Yeah, what is extremely dynamic state? It's like when you have with all the blockchains, you know, it's like Solana, even like the most performant one. You like make a transaction, it can change one number. Okay, like it can change like 100 numbers, 1,000 numbers. And what bostrom does is actually he can like when you do one link, the like all state is changing. So it's the rank that must be recomputed for all the nodes in this decentralized knowledge graph. And yeah, so any cyberlink, the blockchain recomputes 3 million numbers within this GPU memory state, which is like demonstrate this power, because like I try to find out how much it costs on Solana to do this kind of operations. Even with low kind of fees, it's something like $100,000 to change the state. It's extremely expensive shit, and it could take something like 7 years on Ethereum to recompute the state using EVM. So it's just, you know, order of magnitude ahead of anything you know in the blockchain space, just with the difference that it works only for like one specific algorithm, which is this probability, the computation of probability distribution inside this knowledge graph, which I think is fantastic thing, but yet still we are not in the state of understanding, like industry understanding, like how like that could be actually useful. Also, like some mistakes I will discuss, I believe we made like in the incentives. So yeah, this is the state of this knowledge graph. Also, I want to, you know, show you some really cool stuff. For example, we build the messenger on top of this knowledge graph. Yeah, so you have this Telegram-like messenger, which allow you to subscribe to different topics and different people. Yeah. You see, like usually you have here action bar, but due to like the reasons, some infrastructure not actually working correctly, it's just don't see this actually endpoints, and that don't allow to transact actually using this application. But it's like you have here all that follow buttons and on topics also, and it can bring you, it syncs locally and bring you all updates which like are links like for these topics or object in this gigantic knowledge graph. What else? Well, we have a lot of minor apps such as like trading, like computing of capitalization. We have even an editor. I have Studio, so it's complete notepad that allow you to create a content and then create links to this content and submit it with one button. Yes, Steve.
Where are the chat messages stored? Are they stored on IPFS?
The chat message, Steve, it's not the private messenger, it's public messenger. So it's stored. All the topology, public topology, is stored within the same knowledge graph I'm talking about. But the data, yes, comes from the peer-to-peer network of you, like the peers, IPFS peers, yeah. So like this is like very important. This is like completely public system. It wasn't meant to work as private system because it's dedicated topic how to do the same, but in private settings it's become like, it seems like it's extremely complex task. Just recently I start to understand how to attack this. Try to compute balances on top of gamma-morphic encryption. You know, it's slow, but if you start to multiply sufficiently big matrices inside this gamma-morphically encrypted data, you're basically fucked. Just doesn't make sense still, okay? Yeah, the browser have actually a lot of cool features, like we developed, never try to explain anyone what we are developing here. It's have his own scripting language. So for example, it's this, so it's have this own scripting language that allow to parse avatars this in custom way and particles. It have this graph database I showed recently for several peoples. How like fast is this data the database works. And yeah, basically it's a really cool So you see it's based on the WebAssembly database, database, which, like, thanks to this datalog query, like, can query local knowledge graph which was indexed by this particular user. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. I can, I think I can explain this feature. So yes, the problem that the features are not consistent, they are not working reliably, and like classical tragedy of open source software. Yeah. Yeah, I want to render some stuff. So here I can, for example, render 100,000 nodes graph. It's like this, like, I believe 3% of this knowledge graph of Bostrom. So it looks like that. Then I have like local knowledge graph, which can be rendered and as 3D graph. So yeah, it's it is cool shit, Yeah, but I would love to find a way to. Also, we have this karma computation, which is reputation score based on this knowledge graph. Yeah, it's also computed in the on chain. This is complete blockchain with smart contract systems and ability to have access for this knowledge graph within smart contracts. So basically, we build such thing as semantic smart contracts. So like when someone, for example, when somebody is registering the name within local name system, it's the contract automatically index the address against the name and put this into search index automatically. So which is kind of cool. You must, in conventional blockchains, you must use explorers and indexers. Here, the indexation of the smart contract operations happens immediately in the moment of execution directly and allow for instant search of the stuff that happens within this particular step in smart contract execution, which is super cool. Also, like, worth to note that the thing is censorship resistant. So this is the community how see the cyber project. And it's ranked as like top 5 pictures, like so yeah, but really a lot of cool stuff here. It's part of archive of white papers, semantic core. Like, yeah, it could take hours and days to surf through all that information, which was put altruistically thanks to amount of people who touched the blockchain is something around 50,000, yes, during these 4 years. But people who made the cyberlinks, like, I believe something around 2,000 people. Yes, so at least 2,000 people put this information into the index, which I believe is super cool. Thanks everyone for building this, the root of a real decentralized knowledge. Yeah, I think I will stop them. I have still like 15-20 minutes for reflecting about the mistakes and trying to shut out some plans into the future, because I believe there is a future. Like the biggest mistake we've done is airdrop. It was the idea that we must find proper people to put the knowledge into the knowledge graph. So we started to analyze. I did really deep, very deep research of the Ethereum blockchain, like deep semantic research of Ethereum, like who does what, and we came to 7 audiences who like gas, who like burn a lot of gas, who trade a lot, etc., etc., etc. We identify these audiences, and basically it was fine unless, except that we, put a lot of too much bet on NFT minters, it turns out that like there was no almost any value within this audience, and that's actually it was kind of strategic decision to allocate 60% of tokens to the airdrop. Okay, so like the system can start operate completely in the decentralized way. So it was kind of the idea to bootstrap this like chicken and egg problem. Okay. And it's completely failed. We lost a lot of time developing, making research, developing software for claims. We created such things as neural proofs. I believe still non-existent things. So like you can map. We learn how to prove within the contract the possession of this address from external blockchain and aggregate under one name. So we actually started to create this on-chain, like part of on-chain social graph with like provable links to the addresses within other chains, which is still there. It's still like have value, but I still didn't find anywhere such cases. Even in Ethereum, you can publish this hash. You never prove that actually you publish the address in ENS, but you never prove that actually you control this address. So like the people who use cannot verify that actually you are the possessor of the private key. That was a serious mistake. Inflation leak. I believe all Cosmos networks actually fail due to this reason. It was actually the expectation that you can mint tokens out of thin air indefinitely. But in reality, if you don't have constant demand for the token, for example, if you have like let's say you have $100 million of capitalization and you have 30% APR, that basically means that you must mint $30 million per year, which roughly translates to $100,000 per day, which is crazy amount of money which must constantly flow to the blockchain. It's a constant kind of crowd sale, invisible crowd sale. And another problem was energy mint leak. This was we used the idea to lock boot tokens, not boot, but hydrogen is kind of derived liquid staking token within the system to have with energy tokens. And it turns out it was pretty cheap way to provide access for collective learning. So basically a lot of people minted with volts and amperes and just dumped the market without actually using them. Like, so we give for free. We give for free consensus tokens. We give almost for free. It's all, and it dumped the market on continuous basis. Okay. Another big mistake was that actually I designed tokenomics without providing feedbacks. Here, this is like the most important idea that like the more you learn the system, the more expensive the token must become. And actually, like it's easily solvable by not like initially it was the idea to have bandwidth-based tokens. So you have 1 volt and you can make 1 link per day all your life. Okay. Well, it's kind of usability stuff, but economically that just didn't work. And when you switch to burn mechanism, so it's like you burn 1 token while on every like learning step, that means practically that supply decrease and gives a feedback into price of the complete thing. So like the more you train, like the less supply become, it's done. We didn't do that, which already fixed it, okay? So all the things, energy mint link, we change from logs to burn bonding curve. So we implement 2 kind of burns already within the tokenomics design of this knowledge graph. It's already deployed in the recent versions, which is cool, which gives hope. Feeding also, that was, my mistake, my personal mistake as a leader. I just feed the blockchain with the money that led to, kind of like low agency community and team who was involved. Yeah. And, this like after this explosion, I did. It's a signal. After this explosion back, I did realize that because I was actually amazed how incapable the community I built is. Yeah. So it's after like I gave it a time. I gave it 9 months without doing anything, just to look like what happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. None of people, including founders, did anything. Like just like nothing happens. I decided to start slowly recover the stuff, step by step, and I fired previous team, stopped feeding it. I stopped putting money. Like amount of money I put into the project is enormous, guys. This super intelligence idea cost me like pretty huge amount of money. I wouldn't name it. It's just like maybe 7 zero number at least. Okay. Do I regret? No. I think I spent it for like one of the most important things for humanity, and I still believe that it will be very useful. So it's just like the really important dot that will be connected and somewhere into the future. So yeah, I stopped feeding it, and I want to rebuild the community for like from not high agency people we discussed, but just from like people who have this thing as agency. Okay, not low, it's not high, it's just there. I will not hurry. I will not push it, to grow. I just let things go as it goes, trying slowly to recover the ecosystem, trying to fix the things that actually wasn't, and that is the last, I think, the most tragic mistakes I made personally. This idea of transfer of responsibility. When you think that community, like the founders, the team will build this, will fix this, and like that years passes and nothing, like, yeah, but it's still, all the bugs, they're still there, okay? And actually, that is where this decentralization things like completely fail. Okay, just like it is apparently that it's like decentralization works on some, like starting from some scale, like the project wasn't able to reach the scale to actually make things work. Yeah, and like the last thing is like it was our dev only belief that build and way will come. I still believe in to these ideas, but given that you have like proper incentives baked into the consensus. Yeah, we didn't have these incentive, like personal incentives for growing the knowledge graph. It was like a completely altruistic design, and I think I would rather follow a bit more holistic approach. Yeah, I think enough for mistakes. I just try to gather 7, the most important one. I will shout out to the world. Maybe for people who will try to build something, it will be kind of useful for all blockchain builders and token builders and decentralization believers and so on. Currently, we live in the industry which is so noisy, the attention span is so narrow. So basically no one cares about the shit you do, okay? No one cares. Just assume that no one will ever care about what you are doing unless it will have really strong economic incentives, like will give ability to earn money, okay? That is like the only requirement of like, the promise, in original promise of crypto, the economy, and yeah, it still holds. I believe it's the only way to go through this um, swamp, swamp level of big swamp of information. Okay, plans. I still have 5-7 minutes to share some plans. I did recently I asked Twitter users, like, should we rebrand Bostrom because we have this very kind of not a very positive price curve, yeah. So it's that people in the industry rebrand the token, change this price curve, and it's basically kind of clearing this information from the space. I will not rebrand Bostrom, guys. I just want to make it explicit. I decide that it will be a very weak decision. When you grow a kid, you must learn from mistakes, okay? So my decision as a founding father is to try to do everything what is possible to recover and demonstrate that actually if you sometimes fall, you can rise and grow, okay? Go on further. So like building superintelligence is not just, building this next startup thing. It is a learning process, and like the community which already hold boot tokens must learn very important stuff, and eventually either change the hands or recover the system. So yeah, that is my message. It's either will die or will grow. Yeah, will be nothing in between, and I don't want to make a rebranding because of that. Okay, I will slowly try to recover infrastructure and functions with minimal resources. Still not going to invest there seriously, just to try to fix some like the most problematic problems within the infrastructure. I want to set up Siberia as a non-profit head vehicle, which will perform three basic functions. It will be asset management company, it will be land development company, and software engineering. So basically, the Siberia will hold more the local companies with land. We are developing within Siberia projects, and yeah, the Bostrom and Cyber will be just the initiative inside this Siberia company. Okay, so so that is the clear message. Yes, we will have some vehicle that will support the project eventually, but it will be some part of the company activities on the mission to build this intelligent network of future cities. And yeah, I think our bet currently is to launch the pop-up city on Bali in Cyber Valley in February, March. And we actually needed to formate the core community who can build the most essential stuff for the movement I'm talking about, including working on the bootloader of superintelligence, like developing knowledge graph, and so on. And after this, yeah, I'm going to recover the research, and currently the most important goal is to design an incentive system of decentralized training of this knowledge graph. I call it AI proof of work. So basic idea that you can split this huge computation on the graph. If you think, I read please collective focus theorem. I described how complexity grows, what computation it requires, for example, to perform this kind of compute for the really huge graphs like 10, like billions of nodes, okay, trillions of nodes, and like the idea is to split into chunk this computation into chunks and reward each chunk for their contribution to this information theoretic measurement. I have almost complete theoretical understanding on how to do it without actually having problems with like the most possible vectors of attacks. But it will take some research and development until it can be done using some kind of zero knowledge proofs, because there are some also serious computer science problems involved in the actually compute verify game. So yeah, and like that is AI POV for me will be the signal to start episode 2 of this story where rebels actually fight against the evil corporation and trying to bootstrap this super intelligence to protect the future from the closed non-verified knowledge. Thank you for listening. I don't believe that we have time for questions anymore. The next people I see come here. Yes, thank you guys for listening me. Come back to the next talk on decentralized AI tools at 9th of November.